You said the word Tricknology. I don't know. Did you mean to say that, or that's what I heard?
Yes,
Tricknology.
I
Okay.
did. I did mean that. That's a
Yeah.
term. That's a term that goes back to like the 90s. Rappers used to always refer to technology as technologies.
Mhm.
And apparently they were right. They were just off by about 20 years. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or your podcast directory of choice. Enjoy the episode. So Ebony, once again, thank you for stopping by. This is, I think, going to be a great episode. Just to kind of go back to how this originated, I was on a phone call. I was invited by some peers to kind of audit a training session and cybersecurity training session for people looking to get into cybersecurity. And the main instructor, he was attending an AWS conference, and he was a little late starting the training. So the other instructor and I were kind of just talking, and we kind of got into cybersecurity story, kind of, what do you know? What do I know? And we started talking about all the time this person hacked this, or the time this hospital got shut down for that. And I started thinking to myself, this is like really good conversation. I said, this is something Ebony and I could kind of work with, a nice format where we kind of go over some interesting cybersecurity stories that we've come across, what we liked about it, or what we found interesting about it, any takeaways, any things that we can pass on to other people with respect to awareness and understanding of how to not get got or what to do. And I think this would be a good time to kind of just get into that, especially considering Cybersecurity Awareness Week is coming up in mid-October this year. And I'll have some information for that for people that follow me on the sidelines. But Ebony, you were talking about something with respect to AI, and I'm very interested in learning about that incident. Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having me. But yeah, one of the fun stories on the fun hacking stories that happened recently, it was in April. There's like a handful of crypto firms that had enlisted actors and the use of AI to fake executives, fake CEOs, fake, top name people in the company to give them more credibility so they could obviously get investors and run a Ponzi scheme. Basically, you got to love those good old Ponzi schemes. They're so great for generating so much money so fast. And as long as you don't get caught, great scam. But I looked up one of them, and one of the companies, I don't know if I should say the name or not, but someone had put had re-uploaded the AI video they used for the CEO. And I mean, it didn't convince me, but it was decent. I mean, I was surprised at how decent it looked. I mean, the voice was, I'm pretty sure it was an AI voice, unless they hired an actor, but it sounded like an AI voice. The AI voice, that's what made for me was like, nah, try again. It didn't match the guy's face. And then the guy's face just kept kind of doing the same facial movements over and over. Like he just had like kind of a loop of facial
Oh,
expressions.
so he looked like a like one of these non-playable character TikTok videos now.
A very flesh-like one. Yeah. Like, it's like you could see the texture of the skin.
Mm-hmm.
It looked very real. Like you could, touch his face and his skin would bounce back. But yes, the facial expressions are very NPC. And I was like, okay, that it didn't fool me. And I think it maybe could have fooled about 50% of people. You could have been like, I don't know. But also another tip off was the writing was a little janky. So it was like if English is your first language, you would kind of recognize it. I think if English is your second or third or who knows what language, you might be like, oh, okay, it's it's a bit believable. But some of the sayings he was using were just, they're a little off. I was just like, no one would write it like that. And maybe I'm more critical because of my writing background, but yeah, I just was like, it's not believable for me. So, but the thing is, it's gonna be believable to probably give it 6 months to a year. I mean, it's
Right,
getting
right.
tweaked so quickly that, maybe you hear, I'm hoping this doesn't give them ideas, but you start seeing the stuff to make it more human like, oh, the vocabulary is weird. Oh, the facial expressions. Oh, the voice, it sounds too perfect. And then you start tweaking these things, and next thing you know, you got some really convincing deep fakes. So, but yeah, they got caught, and They did get money though, so I don't know what's going to happen to the funds that they already collected. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
So they deep faked who? Like the CEO, the executives?
Yeah, I believe for that one it was the CEO of the company, and so not a real person. I mean, it was an AI generated person. It wasn't even a real person. It just came from AI. The voice, I think the voice, it didn't say specifically the voice, but the voice sounded AI generated. I mean, the whole thing could have been generated. Just get, ChatGPT or one of these other AI tools to write up the script, get one of those AI voice programs, and then whatever, Midjourney or who knows which one of those other AI animation tools that they use, and then you have yourself a whole person right there. It's just that they messed up for me on the voice and on the actual language that he was using. It wasn't convincing.
And before I start talking about plans, prospects, and the future, I would like to thank you for our common past and present. When we were planning to bring the company to the public space,
it wasn't convincing to you, but we kind of, we talk about these things. We ourselves have multiple episodes about this type of stuff. So we're kind of like on the radar to look out for it. Other people are just going to take it as is. And so the CEO, the deep fake was to lure people to do something. What was it?
Well, so make them look credible, to make them look legitimate. It looked high end. It looked very well, I'd say curated. It looked well put together. So it's just to give them an air of legitimacy so that then you'd feel comfortable putting your money in their crypto, buying and trading on their platform. So it's just to make it look like they were a real crypto company. There's so many of them, and it's a decentralized, deregulated industry. So it's kind of the wild, wild west out there. You're just like, let me throw my hat in the ring and see what I can collect. And so, Sam Bankman-Fried, biggest Ponzi scheme in the world. So it's like, if this guy can get away with it, is he even in jail right now? Like, I think he went for a night or something. You see people like that get away with it and you're like, okay, let me give it a try.
Yeah. So basically you whip up a Midjourney AI deepfake Bernie Madoff and you get the ball going. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
You said, and I was going to say, like you said, crypto, the world of crypto, it's deregulated, decentralized. There's so much chaos, all these crazy names and terms, and this new coin and that new coin. So what is real and isn't? Because it all looks kind of surreal.
I like that. Yeah, it all looks kind of surreal. And that's the thing. They have, Worm GPT just came out, so that's just phishing emails packaged up. That you can just type in some stuff and send out a whole little package campaign. So I feel like you could eventually do it for something like this. It's like, package up your crypto scam campaign, just download the software, put in your details, and then it generates, the script, the voice, the AI actor, the website, and just rolls it all out for you. And I guess you leave it up until the SEC or somebody gets involved, or one of these regulators. And by then, if you're not even in the US, you've hightailed it with the money. And I'm not saying condoning this at all. I'm not
right.
Kind of smiling while I say this. And it's somewhat funny. It's not funny, the people whose money have gotten taken, but it amazes me how clever humanity is and what we choose to do with our cleverness. It's just, we could be solving all kinds of things, but we're like, let's just scam for as much money as possible.
Yeah. And, with this whole AI thing, it just makes me think, when people release this technology, what do you think most people, I shouldn't say most people, but a lot of people's initial baseline response is? It's going to be, how can I misuse this technology? How can I use it to fool people, to trick people, to slander people, to misrepresent people? And what are the safeguards, if any, that were put in play to kind of prevent this thing? Because what human behavior is when they get a hold of this. You should know, you're smart enough to put this thing together, or did you just not care about that? Have you seen the movie, the new Mission Impossible movie?
I haven't. Isn't this like the 20th installation? I haven't seen
it. It is.
I'm probably about 18 behind. So
18 behind.
Yeah.
Well, this one in particular, I think would be something, if anyone's in AI, if anyone's into quantum computing, would be highly interested in, because they go in this direction. They lean very much into this direction. I'm trying not to give too much about it because it's a really good movie, but they're exploring this and they're talking about these topics, and they really just lay it out there like, okay, this is the world we live in now. If you thought the fake mask and the fake voice modulators were things that were tricking people before, we've entered a new era where all this technology is out, where we don't understand or don't know who is who. Am I really talking to you? Am I really listening to you? Was that really you that just texted me? You know, they really go in there. So if you have time, check out that movie. I can't get too much into it because it just came out and I don't want to, you know, spoil that for people, but they really talk about AI and where it can really go and where we're going. And to step away from that, whenever I see these stories with whether it's deep fakes or whether it's someone misrepresenting someone and pretending to call up and say, hey, you know, I've been kidnapped. I need, you know, $10,000, send it to this Bitcoin address, or sorry, send it to this Ethereum wallet or Bitcoin wallet, and, you know, I'll be free. And meanwhile, the person that's been kidnapped is chilling at Subways, having a turkey and provolone, and, you know, they're just, you know, they're A-okay. But as far as you're concerned, you're running to get the money together. Whenever I see these things, I think, you know, what's the counter going to be for this? Because we're in a world where you can't trust anything, and it's only getting worse. You can't trust the image. You can't trust the pictures you see. You can't trust the voice or the sound you hear. And it's like, well, if you can't trust anything, my response to that is, then that just means you can only go analog at this point. You got to go back to technology that doesn't exist with respect to digital technology. You have to go to analog technology, you know, radio waves and things like that. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing stuff out there, but my response to AI is go old school with it. Only work with the things that you can trust, the things that you can physically see and touch right in front of you until otherwise verified.
Yeah. You said the word Tricknology. I don't know, did you mean to say that, or that's what I heard? Tricknology.
Yes, okay. I did mean that. That's a term that goes back to like the 90s. Rappers used to always refer to technology as Tricknologies. And apparently they were right. They were just off by about 20 years. But they used to always refer to the technology as, you know, technology meant to trick your mind or trick you into doing something that you didn't want to do. And so they were referred to it as Tricknology. And I call this essentially Tricknology.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if that was a slip of the tongue or what, but it was like, that was a perfect term for what we're talking about.
Yeah, I really feel, you know, that's the case. So that's interesting. So they have AI that they use to create the next Bernie Madoff to trick people to funding the Ponzi scheme, and it worked.
Be sure to catch the next part of our conversation. This time, I break down the $1 million phishing king of DoorDash. Subscribe now so you can be the first to know when the video drops.